really busy few months for VR, and we're only halfway through the year. There's still a lot left to happen in the VR space, like the launch of the Quest 3 and Apple's spatial computer. But today, I want to chat about the next big trends we're going to see in the VR space over the next 6 months and how they're going to impact the future of VR. For starters, AI has been such a hot topic for discussion this year, and Meta have made it clear that they're all in, especially when it comes to using AI in VR. In a recent meeting with Meta staff, Zuckerberg said, "We've seen some really incredible qualitative breakthrough on generative AI, and that gives us the opportunity to now go take the technology, push it forward, and build it into every single one of our products." He also said they're going to do it in new ways that other people aren't going to do, which kind of sounds like the beginning of a post-apocalyptic movie. I don't know if you feel the same as me when it comes to AI. It's kind of like very exciting and interesting, but also really terrifying. Like there's some pretty scary potential behind this stuff, but maybe we'll see some Meta branded Terminators in the future. I don't know. But Meta have already started implementing AI into the Quest 3. Boz says that the Quest 3 will use a mixture of inside-out tracking and AI to track your hands on the controllers. He said the AI models for estimating their position got so good that they don't need the rings anymore. I was always disappointed that they didn't go down the path of using the same tech in the Quest Pro controllers, which have inbuilt cameras for better tracking, but if they're confident that this new AI tech can pull off better controller tracking, then I'm hopeful. Meta are also testing the waters with AI speech generation called VoiceBox, and this tool can edit, style, and sample audio. Like this is what Meta showcased, and I wasn't particularly blown away.
Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
I think Meta have a big problem of showcasing things a bit too early. It's just like Meta like to prove that they're included and be like, hey guys, we're doing AI as well. But then they just showcase an underwhelming product. It's like the Horizon avatars all over again. Meta obviously plan to integrate this VoiceBox AI into their VR by giving natural sounding voices to virtual assistants and non-player characters. I think the potential of having NPCs powered by AI is a really cool concept. Developer Tamula is already working on a ChatGPT integration into Skyrim VR, where he's able to have casual conversations with NPCs within the game, and they're able to respond to events in the environment. He also made a simulation where it essentially coaches him on how to pick up chicks at a party, and you can interact with the different NPCs and they respond all differently based on those conversations you already had. It's super fascinating stuff and very exciting. I feel like because of the immersion of VR, utilizing AI in this way is a really great fit, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. I think we're going to start to see a lot more of AI used for dialogue for NPCs in video games, and especially VR games. One area where Meta could really benefit from using AI is their room setup. If you've ever had to deal with the Quest Guardian, you know it's a pain. I feel like by now, or at least hopefully soon, AI should just be able to read your room and know, okay, that's a wall, that's a table, that's a window. I think if Meta really want to push mixed reality gaming, I think if they use AI in a way to make the setup more easier and more intuitive, would really streamline the process, make it more user-friendly for new players. At least the PlayStation VR 2's room setup is a little less painless. And speaking of PlayStation VR 2, I think we're going to see a bigger presence from Sony coming into the end of the year. PlayStation have been criticized for not promoting the PSVR 2 enough, but I think they've been buying their time. More and more games are starting to find their way onto the PlayStation Store. I think by Christmas, they're going to have a pretty decent catalog. I think once they know they have a pretty competitive library, that's when they'll start pushing right into the Christmas season where people are buying gifts. And I think that's when we'll start to see more of a presence from PlayStation. And PlayStation have been snapping up some pretty cool games that aren't on the Quest Store yet, like VR Skater, Phasmophobia, and C-Smash, who's actually the sponsor of today's video. This is C-Smash VRS, and it's a reimagining of the cult classic 2001 Sega arcade game. This super futuristic PlayStation VR 2 game is basically like playing tennis or low-gravity squash in space. And this game has such a cool retro futuristic vibe, and the music just really elevates that nostalgia element. I'm loving the polished aesthetic of this game. The gameplay involves hitting the ball to bounce off the panels to proceed, and hitting the ball is seriously so crisp and clean. It's very satisfying. There's multiple gameplay modes and involves puzzles, fitness, or just versing your friends. And because of the low gravity, you can pull off multiple trick shots, or you can just chill out and enjoy the minimal meditative gameplay. I had a blast checking out this game and got really competitive with it as well. And it's a bit of a workout. It's pretty cold in Australia today, and I definitely had to take off my jacket because I was building up a sweat. I think this PlayStation VR 2 game is definitely one to check out. It's just come out on the PlayStation VR 2 store, so there's a link down below if you want to check it out for yourself. Now back to the video. All note that the Quest 3 is going to have vastly improved full color pass-through, which I'm very excited about. And I think over the next few months, we're going to see a huge influx of mixed reality supported games. And if you're not familiar what I mean by mixed reality, it's the games where you can see your full real world environment where you see elements of the game overlaid over the top. And lately, I've been having lots of fun checking out mixed reality games on my Quest Pro. And while most of them are only good on the Quest Pro, it kind of gives us an insight onto what to expect on the Quest 3. And I think a lot of developers will start to pump out these games in preparation for the Quest 3. Meta will want to showcase the Quest 3 mixed reality features as much as possible at launch, and they'll definitely want some games to showcase that. The game developers will be jumping in early in hopes that Meta will promote their games at the launch of the Quest 3, which will of course will equal more cash for those game developers. I think game developers will be thinking about how they can cross-launch their games on other platforms, most notably the Apple Vision Pro. Developers for sure will be thinking about how they can get their games on the Apple Vision Pro, and a big part of the Apple Vision Pro is mixed reality. So if developers can make a game that suits the Quest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro, I think they're going to do their best to make it. But wait a minute, the Apple Vision Pro doesn't have controllers. So if a game developer makes a game for the Quest using controllers, then they won't be able to easily apply that to the Apple Vision Pro. So that's why I think we're going to start to see a lot more VR games and apps start to use hand tracking, because that means they'll be able to easily launch on the Quest and the Apple Vision Pro. And hand tracking is already supported on the Quest, so there's already a huge audience of people who can already play their game, plus all the potential people who buy the Apple Vision Pro, if there are any. Once upon a time, hand tracking on the Quest used to be pretty janky, but over time it started to get a lot better, and I think it's slowly becoming a more viable gameplay mechanic. But what isn't viable is all these games launching with these price points that most people's bank accounts can't regularly commit to. I mean, there's been a lot of games launched this year, but dropping $30 to $40 every week on new games can be challenging for some, and especially younger folk. And I think there's a lot of them on the Quest. I mean, look at the popularity of Gorilla Tag. I think it's really showcased that people love free games, and they still can be profitable. So I think a lot of studios will start to follow suit and explore how they can make their games free to play so they can get more people into their games. We've seen it with Population 1, they've shifted to be free to play, and we're starting to see more free games come to the store, like X8 and Quanta, which are some really fun, free multiplayer games that are out right now. I only hope that we don't get to start to see a lot of shovelware, which is basically crappy made free games where they're just looking for a quick buck. But I think Meta's strict store curation will probably avoid this. But I think we'll definitely start to see a lot more free to play games, but maybe we'll see more subscriptions as well. Meta have just announced Meta Quest Plus, which is essentially a subscription service that gets you 2 free games every month. First month includes Pistol Whip and Pixel Ripped, which are some really cool titles. And it's $7.99 USD a month, but they're doing a deal where it's only $1 up until the 31st of July. So it's essentially very similar to Xbox Game Pass, which I think is a really smart move for Meta. It can be really hard to decide what games to spend your pennies on every month, but if you're guaranteed some top-notch titles for a set fee every month, I think that could be really valuable to a lot of people. And Xbox has proven that this method works with the Xbox Game Pass. It's very popular and always great value. And I'm excited to see where this goes. I think it's a cool feature that they've added. And while I think all this tech around AI and VR and mixed reality will be the future of VR, the original co-founder of Twitter thinks otherwise. Jack Dorsey in a recent interview said they were all essentially going to become blob people, with everyone in floating chairs, drinking their food out of straws, and constant 24/7 entertainment. So do you think he's right? What do you think is in store for the future of VR? Let me know in the comments or come discuss it over in my Discord, and I'll see you in my next video.